Welcome back to Winners and Losers, the show that looks at highs and the lows from around world football this weekend. Mikey McCubbin is joining me in the hot seat today because Chris Hamill is off shooting something very exciting. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button right now for more great football content. We start with our first winner, Mikey. It's Manchester United, and it was submitted by Kieran Grant.
Interesting. Yes, of course, United finally back in the top four. What a time to be alive after a convincing 3-0 win away at struggling Fulham. They have now won 6 consecutive away games in all comps for the first time since May 2009. You know, back in the days of Ronaldo, Berbatov, Rooney,
Solskjaer.
Tevez.
He's bringing back the Fergie era.
He is. The spirit of 99 is alive and well. But obviously there were a few standout performers on the day, including Anthony Martial. Showed us the talent that he has, didn't he? Making the first goal for Paul Pogba with a lovely little cutting through ball before scoring a beautiful goal himself after collecting the ball from his own half and completing a mazy run. Shades of Ronaldo in 2007. Do you remember that one? Because that was a crucial goal, I believe, in that title race. And yeah, it was from the left side, and yeah, made it look easier than it actually was, I think, and that was the beauty of it.
Yeah, the finish was outrageous. I think Juan Mata said after the game, the way to win games is just to pass the ball to Anthony. It's so true. I mean, he's a special talent.
Yeah, I mean, the magic really does seem to happen, doesn't it, when he gets on the ball now. Just playing with so much confidence. He's now been directly involved in 50 Premier League goals, 33 goals to 17 assists. That's more than any other United player since his debut in September 2015. And obviously we have to talk about his compatriot Paul Pogba as well, who wrapped up the points from the spot, taking his goal tally for the season to 11. This is the first time he's reached double figures in a single league campaign. So it's pretty crazy how within just over a month after Mourinho leaving, Pogba went from being, you know, an outcast almost, having a real stinker, to being in the form of his life almost. It's pretty crazy just how big this turnaround has been, how drastic it has been. And yeah, it hasn't stopped yet. But anyway, United have now scored 7 goals from the penalty spot in the league this season. That's more than any other side. And back to Pogba, he had a pretty outstanding game himself. 3 shots, 2 goals, 3 dribbles completed and 2 tackles. Solskjaer himself was pretty impressed. Let's see what he had to say about the Frenchman.
We know about his quality at the moment. Going forward, the first goal, what a strike that is. He's playing to his potential. We're trying to put this team forward to make us a better team, to put players in a position where we can hurt teams. And of course we know Paul, with his physicality, with his energy, with his strength to get in the box, is going to be a problem for anyone.
Yeah, I for one, absolutely buzzing to watch Manchester United, which I haven't been able to say for a very long time. I'm already excited about the PSG game tomorrow night, which I'm thinking we're going to live stream. We're not sure yet, but if you want to see us live stream the PSG Manchester United game, let us know in the comments below. What I will say about this one though, is Fulham had their chances. There's 2 10-minute spells in which they could have scored. Mitrovic had one cleared off the line, didn't he? Schürrle should have scored the rebound. And then there was that Ryan Babel from 1 foot out when he kicked it into the post.
That was classic.
What is he doing there? And what's he doing with his hair as well? Somebody have a word with him.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
It's an absolute disaster at the moment. And if you actually look at the expected goals, Fulham had a better expected goals. I think it was 2.18 to 2.11, which is a bit of a shocker. But those 2 chances were so good that you can see why it leads to that.
As well,
but Fulham defensively, I thought off the ball on Saturday they were incredibly passive. Nowhere near good enough defensively. You can see why they've conceded 58 goals already this season. That's the most of any side in Europe's top 6 divisions, let alone the top 5, which is just a total embarrassment, really. They've now lost 20 Premier League games against Manchester United as well, more than against any other team. And they're on the end of a very embarrassing stat. With his pass to Martial, Phil Jones managed to record his first goal involvement in 87 Premier League games.
Wow.
Jesus. I mean, at one stage, Phil Jones had a shot from about 20 yards that Sergio Rico tipped over. I thought if this goes in, we're on the pitch. It's absolutely outrageous. The week he signs a contract.
You know, he's now got as many assists in the league this season as a certain Naby Keita.
And a certain Mesut Ozil.
Really,
which
as
is
well.
a bit of a shock, isn't it? Fulham stay in 19th place, though. 7 points from safety. Look like guaranteed droppers now alongside Huddersfield, whereas Manchester United face PSG in the Champions League tomorrow. As I said, let us know if you want to see us live stream that one. Either way, another great weekend for Solskjaer and for Paul Pogba.
Our first losers from the weekend come from @LIET Prince. And it's no surprise that it's Chelsea, is it, Joe?
Oh my lord, how humiliating was yesterday. Chelsea needed to lose by a 6-goal margin to drop out of the top 4 and go into 6th. And what did they lose by? 6-0 at the
6-0.
Etihad. Get your fingers right, Mikey. That is an absolute disgrace for Maurizio Sarri. Their top 4 chances well and truly in jeopardy now. I think when Solskjaer took over, United were 11 points behind and 23 goals behind on goal difference. United are now 1 point ahead and 1 goal better. How
Ridiculous.
embarrassing for Maurizio Sarri. It's their biggest defeat in any competition since losing 7-0 to Notts Forest back in 1991, their biggest ever Premier League defeat, the first time they've conceded 4 goals in consecutive away top-flight matches since December 1990. The stats get worse and worse by the week for Sarri. They're still yet to win an away game or score an away goal in 2019 in the Premier League. 4 losses.
Bad.
It's
so
just
bad.
not good enough. I can't see how he keeps his job after this one, but he might well do. They're now winless in their last 7 Premier League away games against Big 6 opposition as well, drawing 2 and losing 5, losing their last 5 in a row. It's just unacceptable, and I'm sure Chelsea fans must be sitting there at home going, we were expecting a period of turmoil whilst they implemented a new style, but there's a period of turmoil and then there's losing 6-0 away at City.
Yeah, results-wise, it's just...
And performance-wise, this was reminiscent of Arsenal shipping 8 against Manchester United. It really was that bad. They've still got to play Spurs, United and Liverpool in the league. I think they go Man United, don't they? And then they've got to go to Malmo. Then they've got Man City. Then they've got Malmo.
Something like that. Or Malmo first, United, Malmo City, then Spurs.
It's such a hard fixture list. And then, to make matters worse, Sarri goes out and calls out Roman Abramovich in his post-match press conference. Check this out.
If the president calls me, I'm happy as I never hear from him. I do not know what to expect. You can ask me what I think about the situation, but for what others at the club think, you need to ask them.
So clearly, as we've seen there, Sarri pretty distressed after the game. Obviously, forgot to shake Pep Guardiola's hand as well. We will put that down as an honest mistake, because I think he just... well, at least he just wanted to get out of there. I don't think there's any bad blood between the two managers.
He was running away with it.
Yeah, I think he was just too embarrassed, too pissed off, getting ready to, throw a few bottles around in the dressing room. And it's not surprising, is it? Most of the goals Chelsea conceded were a comedy of errors. Marcos Alonso going walkabouts for Sterling's open, and that was worse than Sunday League defending, wasn't it?
Marcos Alonso.
That was really bad.
So bad going backwards, isn't he? Just so poor defensively this season. As good as he is going forward, it doesn't make up for that.
Yeah, I mean, he just seemed to lack any kind of sense of kind of his position, didn't he, at that stage. And it probably should have been a heavier defeat for Sarri's men as well. Obviously, Aguero uncharacteristically missed an open goal before hitting his hat-trick, which is ridiculous. But we should give City some credit, shouldn't we? XG of 4 at the end of the game compared to Chelsea's 0.9.
That's unheard of.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they overperformed it, but you're never going to get an XG of 6. Very clinical finishing to go with some fantastic chance creation. They had 9 shots on target in total, and 5 of those came from inside the box.
I know.
So
that is outrageous.
They just cause mayhem, don't they, in the final third?
I thought Chelsea defensively were all over the place, both positionally and on the ball. The amount of times the defenders gave the ball away in simple areas. Azpilicueta was having a nightmare. When he's having a mess, that's extremely rare.
Yeah, gave away that penalty as well, didn't he, Azpilicueta? Mike Dean stealing the show on that one. Bang. Fantastic, loved that.
Like the flash.
He's one red card away from hitting 100 red cards.
World class.
That's world class. That no other Prem manager is close to him on the red card front.
Yeah. And also, let's not forget, he also hid the ball from Sergio Aguero at full time. Just a little comedy practical joke from old comedian Michael Dean. You know, his father would be proud. Oh, where's the ball? Hey, well done, Mike.
Two Premier League greats having a bit of banter like that. I love it. It's just, you know, the 2018-19 is already the greatest Premier League season ever, just because of that. But anyway, back to the game and back to the star of the show, obviously, Aguero. Consecutive hat-tricks now. No player has done that since 2010 in the Premier League. Don't actually have down which player that was, but I expect it might be someone like, I don't know, Drogba, Rooney. But he has now also tied Alan Shearer's all-time record of 11 hat-tricks. But more of him on ERU, because we are going to be going more in depth on the Argentinian over on ERU. So go and check that out after this. But another man we definitely need to single out is Raheem Sterling. He was absolutely sublime in this game. 2 shots, 2 goals, 2 key passes, 88% pass sack. Really impressive for someone that high up the pitch. 5 completed dribbles and 3 tackles and interceptions.
Incredible.
There was nothing he wasn't doing in this game. He really does string that City attack together. In many ways, he is their most important attacking player, isn't he? In terms of like how much he contributes to their all-round play.
Yeah, I completely agree. He was the difference maker yesterday, and when you put him up against Eden Hazard is supposed to be the superstar of the Premier League, or at least one of the superstars of the Premier League. Well, Eden Hazard, you know, made to look a bit amateurish by a player like Raheem Sterling, who last year hit 20 goals. And when Eden Hazard does that, I'll stand up and go, you know what, fair play. But Raheem Sterling was the outstanding winger of the game.
Yeah, totally. And obviously you can argue, you know, he's playing in a much better team, but he's got to be Pep's first name on the team sheet, doesn't he? In terms of attackers, at least. Like he's just been so influential this season. But back to Chelsea, they're now languishing in 6th, obviously. Not looking good for Sarri. Man City, though, top of the league, having played a game more than Liverpool and are 10 goals, better off than them on goal difference. They don't play in the Premier League again until the end of the month when they host West Ham. By that time, Liverpool will have faced that big test at Old Trafford, so the title race could be, you know, a new chapter will have maybe started. If Liverpool can get through that test at Old Trafford, if they can beat United at Old Trafford, which they generally struggle to do historically, then they will have kind of done what City have done in the last week, overcome kind of those 3 big tests. But who do you guys think will win the league after this weekend's developments? Let us know in the poll above.
Our final win of the day was Burnley. This was sent in by Tactual MC, Mike.
Yes, it's not often that we talk about Sean Dyche's Burnley, but it's about time we did, because their 3-1 win at Brighton means they are now unbeaten in 7 Premier League games. That's 4 wins and 3 draws since their 5-1 loss to Everton on Boxing Day. This is actually their longest run without defeat in the top flight since 1975. Crazy, what a time it is to be a Claret. Amazingly, they had lost 6 of their previous 7 games before they embarked on this run and had won just 3 games all season. They were pretty dead cert to go down, and for a lot of us, weren't they? Kind of around November, December time, leaking so many goals. But they've really turned it around in the last month. They've actually won more points in the last 7 games, 15, than they had in the previous 19 games.
That is a remarkable turnaround.
It's ridiculous. That's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at Man United levels of turnaround. And actually, it's no coincidence that this upturn in form has coincided with the return of the captain, fantastic Tom Heaton, between the sticks. Feels like an age since he was last manning the goal for Burnley. Obviously, Pope in there last season, Joe Hart coming in and originally doing quite well at the start of this season. But the change has been actually remarkable from a defensive perspective for the Clarets. Since Heaton returned to the side following that defeat to Everton, Burnley are now conceding less than a goal a game. Before that, they were conceding 2.2 a match.
Is honestly remarkable. And he was crazy in this game. He was like a man possessed against Brighton, and he has been for about 5 weeks in a row.
Yeah, such a great shot stopper, isn't he? He's actually making 4.5 saves per goal conceded. And compare that to Joe Hart, who, a lot of people were saying was having a relatively decent season despite not having a great defence in front of him. He was making just 1.8 shots per goal conceded. So actually, Heaton is just far and away, just a class above right now. He's also made 4 clearances in the last 7 games. That's nearly Joe Hart's total of 5 in his 19 games. So even away from shot stopping, Heaton is far more involved defensively, just as a figure in that back line. But what did you make of the Burnley performance in general, Joe?
Yeah, it was a classic Dyche performance, really. Not the best, 31% possession, although I actually think Burnley are better without the ball.
Yeah.
So they won't mind not having 50-60% possession. But took just 9 shots. Brighton took 16. Were extremely clinical, weren't they? Putting 3 of their 5 shots on target in the back of the net. I think Brighton had 6 shots on target, but Tom Heaton was just imperious, wasn't he? They were a little bit lucky. Very much should have had a penalty given against them when I think it was Jeff Hendrick handled the ball inside the area.
So
then
obvious.
they broke, I think it was 20 seconds or 12 seconds later. The ball was in the... no, there was a penalty given for them at the other end, actually, wasn't there? When Ashley Barnes or Chris Wood was fouled by Matt Ryan inside the box. I think Chris Wood was fouled and Ashley Barnes put it away. And it was a big day for the front two, really. Ashley Barnes obviously scored that penalty. Chris Wood managed to bag a brace. He also won 5 aerial duels. He's got 7 in 11 games against the Seagulls. He's such a hit and miss striker, but when he hits big time. His first finish, 1-on-1, was a really good one, I thought. It was one of those ones where the striker almost has too much time running down, overthinks it, and then often hits it straight at the keeper. But he absolutely hammered it down the middle after that Lewis Dunk slip. Burnley climbing their way up the table, aren't they? They're now in 15th, still only 3 points above the relegation zone. But like you said, Mikey, probably coming into Christmas, I had them as one of my nailed-on teams to go down. They were in such bad form, they just couldn't turn it around. Whereas Houghton and Brighton getting dragged back in. They've won just 1 game in their last 11, and I now think are only 3 points above the drop zone themselves. So worrying times for Brighton, but a massive result for Burnley.
Our final losers of the weekend come from @Apollo Gray, and it's a little bit of a harsh one because they were coming up against a very accomplished side, but Bournemouth are there after losing to Liverpool, aren't they, Joe?
Yeah, a little bit harsh, like Mikey said, and fairly unsurprising as well, given that Bournemouth have only won 1 of their 15 competitive matches against Liverpool, losing 11 and drawing 3, and they were resoundingly beaten 3-0 on the day. The Seaside club only managed 34% possession. I think Liverpool actually had 9 shots on target in this one, 20 shots overall. It was a thorough battering, quite frankly, and we all saw it coming. And if it wasn't for Artur Boruc, who made 7 saves on the day, it could have been even worse for Eddie Howe's side. Let's talk about Sadio Mane as well. Netted Liverpool's first. He's now scored in 4 consecutive Premier League games for the first time in his career. They're really putting a good run together, that front three. But what I will say is Liverpool fans, yet again, not for the first time I've said this season, need to calm down. Talking about this guy on Red Men TV. Roll the clip.
Sadio Mane. I said it last time I was on it, he's the best football player in the world. I don't know why he's laughing for. Chris, why are you laughing for? Why are you laughing for? I'm being serious. No, you see, I'm talking facts here. I don't do if, buts and maybes. I do absolutes.
I mean, that was a ludicrous statement, to say the least. But, you know, if there's one thing about Liverpool fans, they are incredibly entertaining. I'm all for those kind of videos coming out because it just does make everything that much more funny. And I respect to the guy for actually calling out everyone laughing at him. As you're laughing at the clip, he's like says stop laughing through the screen. Pretty amazing stuff. Telepathy, maybe. But having said that, you know, Liverpool's front three are on fire. They really are on fire. Not surprising, really. They've been such a dominant force in that side for the last year and a half, haven't they? And before this game, the club's last 14 Premier League goals had been scored by either one of them. Sadio Mane with 5, Roberto Firmino with 5, and Mohamed Salah with 4. Obviously, Sadio Mane and Salah both getting on the score sheet yesterday, as well as Wijnaldum. And talking about Mo Salah, he loves playing against Bournemouth. He got his 17th goal of the season in this game. Against no side has he scored more Premier League goals than he has against Bournemouth. He's got 6 against the Cherries, which is the same as his record against Watford. Andy Robertson was also fantastic. He made 6 tackles and interceptions and got an assist. Since his Liverpool debut in August 2017, Robertson has assisted more Premier League goals than any other defender on 11. Actually not really surprised about that because he has been that good over the last 12 months, hasn't he? Also shout out for Fabinho, who made 6 tackles and interceptions as well, completed 100% of his tackles and made 2 key passes. He's really feeling his way into that side as well.
He's locked down that position now. He's 100% the starting defensive midfielder for Liverpool. Jordan Henderson can't get a look at.
No, and I think when Wijnaldum's in the side as well, I think that allows Fabinho to strut his stuff a little bit more as well. Has slightly less defensive responsibility, although he did carry it out very well in this game. But I think Klopp was really happy to have Wijnaldum back in the side and scored a lovely goal as well. And they are just back on form defensively in general, Liverpool. I think at the start of this year, with that right-back situation, obviously, they were getting a little bit found out defensively when they'd been so solid up until then. This was just their 2nd clean sheet in 7 calendar games this year. But if they are going to be crowned champions at the end of the season, they do need to keep that defensive solidity up, because City, at the moment, are just scoring machines, and they will beat them on goal difference. So results are key for Liverpool. They are now unbeaten in their last 34 Premier League home games. That is remarkable, winning 24 and drawing 10. They now have 8 days to prepare for their game against Bayern Munich in the Champions League before facing United in that all-important clash on the 24th. I, for one, am incredibly excited about that game.
I know.
It's going to be era-defining. Maybe. I don't know, maybe that's me turning into a bit of a scouser there. But yeah.
So that's it for this week's episode of Winners and Losers. Me and Doogie are on ERU. You can check that out in about an hour's time. We've got Real Madrid, we've got Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund. We're talking more about the star of the week, Sergio Aguero as well. Mikey, what else can the people watch coming up next?
Well, they should go over to Eurofootball Daily as well to check out Stat Wars The League.
Yes.
Big clash on the weekend between Dave Jackson and James Wayne. Surprisingly, they've got quite a funny on-screen kind of relationship, actually.
Yes.
It's pretty great. And obviously go and check out all the other Stat Wars The Leagues. And Stat Wars The Champions is also making its way to the screens this week, the 3rd season. Am I allowed to say who's on it?
No, not yet.
No?
Let's keep it as a
Okay,
teaser.
but Stat Wars The Champions is coming up this week, so keep an eye out for that. Thanks for watching and see you next time.
Bye.